Hey everybody, my name is Addie Smith, and today I'm going to be talking about bilingualism. Who is considered bilingual and who is not? What happens to the brain when we start acquiring a second language? And what are some of the benefits that come from being bilingual? If this sounds interesting to you, please continue watching. Bilingualism is complicated to define, and many people disagree when it comes to establishing one definition. Let's first discuss past definitions of bilingualism by talking about two main schools of thought, maximalist and minimalist. The maximalist view states that a bilingual is those who produce significant sentences in the L2. The minimalist view states that a bilingual is those who have native-like competence of the L2 in all four skills. So let's break this definition down a little bit more. Competence refers to the internal knowledge of a given language the speaker has acquired. So this school of thought says that in order to be considered bilingual, you must have a native-like internal knowledge of said language. Today, we think of bilingual individuals as a person who can effectively communicate in two languages. A common misconception with bilingualism is that the more native-like a speaker sounds, the more bilingual they are. This, of course, is false. One individual can't be more bilingual than another. Just because an individual doesn't sound native-like in their second language or commonly produces errors in their L2, this doesn't mean they're not bilingual. To further this point, let's take a look at a list of people and identify whether they would be considered bilingual. So on this list, we have an advanced L2 learner, simultaneous bilingual, heritage speaker, and multilingual. An advanced L2 learner would be someone who has spent a considerable amount of time taking classes in that language. A simultaneous bilingual is someone who acquired two languages at the same time, so their L1 and their L2 together. A heritage speaker is a type of simultaneous bilingual who learned their L1 at home and their L2 at school, and their second language becomes their dominant language. Finally, a multilingual is someone who can speak and understand multiple languages. Take a minute to pause the video and think about whether you would classify these people as bilingual or not. If you said all of these people are bilingual, you would be correct. Let's add one more to the list before we continue. Beginner L2 learner. The answer, of course, is dependent on how much the person knows and understands the language. Have they taken one class or four? Beginner L2 learners are often not considered bilingual yet. However, if they continue learning their language and become advanced learners, of course they will be. So now that we have developed a clear understanding of what bilingualism is, let's talk about what happens to the brain when we start acquiring a second language. To understand this, we need to first talk about the concept of neuroplasticity. This is the idea that our brains and our minds change as a function of what we do with them. The experiences we have can actually rewire and change the shape of our mind and brain. As we learn a second language, new pathways and connections between neurons are being formed. These connections are strengthened through regular practice, allowing for information to travel effectively throughout our brain's network. Now that we have this basic understanding of the impact learning a second language has on the brain, let's talk about some of the cognitive benefits of being bilingual. Bilingual individuals develop superior executive functioning to monolinguals. But what is executive functioning and why should we care? Well, executive functioning is associated with the prefrontal cortex and highly correlated with academic achievement. It is a set of neurocognitive skills involved in goal-oriented, directed problem solving in real time. Executive function skills include memory, organization, time management, impulse control, attention, and many more. Talking while driving, acting fast in an accident, reading a complex, difficult book, and the L1 or the L2 All of these activities are great examples of tasks that require executive functioning. The advantages of being bilingual far exceed cognitive benefits. So let's talk about some of these other advantages. Being bilingual in the workspace is a huge benefit and can be the difference between you or someone else getting hired. The demand for bilingual employees has grown exponentially and continues to grow, especially in the medical and business fields. The ability to help two groups that don't speak the same language communicate with each other is such a superpower. Based on what we know about cognitive effects, bilinguals most likely have longer attention spans and are significantly better at multitasking than monolinguals. Both of these things can help us professionally. Expanding on these ideas, bilingualism is also good for the economy. Countries that actively nurture different languages may experience a more innovative workforce, higher tourism rates, and more successful exports. Socially, being bilingual is beneficial for the obvious reasons of being able to connect with more people, making friends who speak more than one language, and learning more about different cultures. But beyond that, many of the cognitive effects of bilingualism can help us socially as well. Bilingual individuals are better at regulating their emotions. This helps us in social contexts and can lead to internalization of negative states like anxiety, aggression, and anger. In terms of linguistic benefits, research shows that one of the many advantages that comes with being bilingual is that you can more easily learn additional languages than a monolingual. How cool is that? This is because you already have learned many of the skills necessary for acquiring a second language, and these skills can be transferred over to the next language you are acquiring. To recap what we've talked about, we've discussed what makes someone bilingual, who's bilingual and who is not. We've also talked about the interesting things that happen to the brain when we begin acquiring another language. We discussed some of the many benefits of bilingualism, cognitively, professionally, socially, as well as the linguistic and economic benefits. If you take anything from this video, I want it to be how powerful being bilingual can be. If you enjoyed this video, check out the other videos on this channel. Thanks for watching!